Hello friends. Today I am going to tell you a horror story based on a real-life incident. This story happened to a railway night guard who worked at an old railway station, and even today, no one has been able to explain what he experienced. If you are alone while listening to this story, you might want to turn on a light. So let's begin. In 2018, a small railway station located in a remote area became completely silent after the last train left for the night. Only one person stayed there until morning, the night security guard named Ramesh. Ramesh had worked at the station for almost 5 years. He was used to the darkness, the sound of stray dogs, and the cold wind that moved through the empty platforms at night. But there was one place at the station that always made him uncomfortable. Platform 6. It was an old, abandoned platform that had been closed for years after a terrible train accident. Several passengers had died there while waiting for a midnight train. Since that day, trains were never scheduled to stop at that platform again. Most of the railway workers believed the place was cursed, but Ramesh didn't believe in ghosts. At least, not until that night. It was around 2:13 in the morning when Ramesh was doing his routine patrol around the station. Everything was quiet, just like every other night. Suddenly, the station loudspeaker turned on by itself. A distorted announcement echoed through the empty station. "Attention please, train arriving at platform 6. Ramesh immediately stopped walking. That announcement made no sense. There were no trains scheduled until morning, and the station control room was locked. Confused, he slowly started walking toward platform 6. As he got closer, the air suddenly became colder. The old lights near the platform began flickering one by one. Then Ramesh heard something strange. Footsteps. Not just one or two, dozens of footsteps. It sounded like a crowd of people slowly walking across the platform. But when he looked around, there was no one there. Ramesh felt a chill run down his spine. Then, through the thin fog covering the tracks, he started to see something. Figures. Dark, shadowy figures standing along the edge of the platform. They looked like passengers waiting for a train, but something about them was horribly wrong. Their faces were unclear, almost like they were melting into the darkness. None of them were moving, none of them were talking. They were all standing completely still, facing the tracks, as if they were waiting for something to arrive. Ramesh's heart began beating faster. Then the loudspeaker crackled again. "Train arriving, platform 6. At that exact moment, the sound of a train approaching filled the air. The loud grinding of metal wheels, the rumbling of heavy tracks, the screeching of brakes. But when Ramesh looked at the railway tracks, there was no train. The tracks were completely empty. Suddenly, every shadow figure slowly turned their heads, and they were looking directly at him. Ramesh felt frozen in fear. One of the figures slowly stepped forward. Its voice sounded strange, like many voices speaking together. "Why are you here? This train is not for the living." At that moment, Ramesh finally moved. He turned and ran as fast as he could toward the station building. Behind him, he heard something terrifying. Hundreds of footsteps. It sounded like all the shadow passengers were running after him. But when he looked back, the platform was empty again. The fog was gone, and there was no one there. The next morning, the railway staff found Ramesh sitting near the station gate. He was shaking and looked completely terrified. He refused to go near platform 6 ever again. Later, an old railway worker told the truth about that platform. Years ago, the passengers waiting there had died during a terrible midnight train accident. And since then, every year on the same date, at exactly 2:13 in the morning, some railway workers claim they hear the same announcement. Train arriving at platform 6. But there has never been any train scheduled at that time. Maybe the passengers are still waiting for the train that never arrived. If you enjoy real-life horror stories like this, don't forget to subscribe. And if you have experienced something strange or paranormal in real life, you can share your story with us. Maybe your story will appear in the next video.